Hey peeps, Pinkolol16 here in another video of my own to commentate over. We're up to Superman 64, The Curse of Invincibility Frames Part 14. And this is actually an interesting part when stuff actually happens. Because of, like... Part 13 was literally just filler, along with 12 and the rest of it. It's only showing the journey and how the characters meet their counterparts. Mainly fan service, not really story stuff, except maybe hints as to what's happening in the environment and character development, and that's all that wonderful stuff that only the minority would care about, maybe the minority being myself. But Part 14 was set out to change that. This is the last time you're going to see this intro, because this is the last part of Arc 4, because 4 parts, the 4th dimension, I needed to continue the joke. Yeah, I'm clearing up a plot hole from earlier on. X-Billa ran off, and he supposedly in the script idea. Whoops! What happened there? Why is he here now? I think by the time I made the video, I had long lost contact with Nintendo 4, and I was just doing it because in the story it makes sense. The only major appearance they'll probably get. I don't think Nintendo 4 cared all too much about Superman 64, and especially to include that in, which was a bit of a pain in the butt. The reason why I call that level her favorite level is because of the way the texture pack looks. The 4th dimensional, Pinkolol16 in the story, in that level, meshes really darn well with the texture pack of that level. So I really love it. And so I thought, oh, this can be her favorite level, and consequently, later on, like, the other normal version of the level is mine, as, you know, as balance. In actual opinion, I kind of think the level is meh. I like it only because of the fact that it meshes with her color code so well. And I'll explain why! That makes no sense. I was saying go and wait, like, you'll wait your turn, you can go into the level another time, essentially. But I'm terrible at wording my sentences. I'm not like Starman 3 where you have to go into the level specifically. I'm saying, yes, you can go in. Why are you bothering me about it? And both of them had to be scripted generically because of the distance of time of relationship of the way I had been talking to Ninty alone. Nintendo 4-in-1 after a while. Like, he'd been in the group for a long time, but then left because he had more of a connection with Captain and all them people. So, yeah, after I had issues, we never spoke again, and that was an issue. Remember all the videos where Starman3 said, "Oh, I'm just randomly visiting the 4th dimension just cause"? Yeah, I wanted to make a reference to that. Let's answer this question with two of the characters that I was later going to completely scrap. I remember they were outside and wanted to have more script lines with them. This is more so explaining to the audience rather than each other. Mario 5-2-1 in the early parts of the 4th dimension had claimed, oh yeah, there's no way you can get into the 4th dimension unless you go through these very two specific ways. So their dimension is apparently protected, but then that protection weakened over time as they became more accepting of their world around them. But they still have the lock around the place, just in general. And I imagine he made that up because of the fact of Dementio's little issue in the first place. That's meant to be a small thing that's going on. Vindimka's already left, and he's now affecting this world from an indirect source. Make sure you keep that in mind. I like hints. Too much. My bad editing skills. Because they jumped in the level and now the coins are reappearing because they appeared. Sega 4-in-1's color code is literally just inversion in some nice fancy way. Ended up separated again, but that's not because of Vindimka's interference. It's well, technically it is, but it's the indirect interference. It's what happened before that caused them to get separated. Hey, connections! If with no context, you'd think that the level spawn just completely screwed up. This is when I really wanted to give them a script. Also, this level was filled to the brim with references to Dementia, so I didn't have a picture editor to get rid of those references at the time. So I asked Mario to provide some textures to override those ones, and a lot of them now are supposedly hints towards back to the 4th dimension now. I actually don't even like that series. But, as you can see, this is a plain obvious reference. But this series happens before that. And, yeah. In my series, that would happen in a completely different way. I just didn't want the Dementia references since in the Into the Fourth Dimension story, Dimentio's Dimension D influences were affecting the dimension visually in like a hint like fashion, like how I do in my scripts. So visually you'd see Dimentio across the dimension everywhere because of his influence, but Dimentio's gone now. His influence shouldn't even be anywhere. So I needed to take care of that for once and for all. So I ended up asking Mary to do it. I didn't have a good picture editor at the time. I only had Paint and Paint.net, and I don't like using Paint.net for stuff like this. So I asked Mary to do it. Since he's the one who came up with the fourth dimension in the first place. Remember that everybody was told the story, so, like, of course, evil is, like, his interpretation of it. Even though, like, you know, he's definitely evil, but, like, there's certainly a lot more to the story. But everyone was told, so that's how he knows. Everyone needed to know in order to be able to come along anyway. Before I make the 15 billionth script in the exact same vein as the other ones. There's actually not a lot of people left, so I was getting through a lot of people quickly. There's a number of ways you can interpret that sentence. I was trying to have her say, why don't you take him outside so then he can calm down for a bit? The opposite's gonna happen. I decided to give myself a level as well as everybody else since, you know, equality. Yes, I've been, like, favoritized 3 times over in this series, but I need a level 2 with everybody else. I've been sitting around telling you guys what to do. I need to do stuff myself. Let's show action. This place doesn't have compression. We can still technically feel it since it's like energy that's sort of there and then it just gets stronger when the invincibility frames are hit, but like the fact that it's not there at all is jarring. YTR warners! Doing things of their own accord! Let me just toss them in the level so I can get them over with. The source of the problem, which is something I'm dealing with. And they're both in the one place together! I wanted to get on the darn block, but apparently that wasn't happening. She's the one who's researched extensively, so it's important that she says the counterpart bits. Since I myself have done the whole dimension thing myself, it makes sense. since, you know, we've encountered both of them and done the thing. To continue on the journey when, you know, I really shouldn't have been there in the first place. But it was because, hey, I need to run after Memo. Because story. Hence, a different plot from the other levels. It was, well, me that sent Co-Star, so that's what he's coming to now. I'm not gonna jump over the block again. Yoshimo was again in the same vein of where Nintendo 4N was, and I spoke with him for a bit before, you know, stuff happened and we didn't talk to each other anymore. Also, my sprite work is terrible, but I tried to get them to, like, you know, stare at each other. 3D, sort of rendering, I guess. I don't think the models were out, and I wouldn't have used them anyway because of the lack of being able to mask. I can't mask them in the scenes because they're not running off the same ROM. They're running off of a different type of ROM of their own accord. I can mask Yoshi's, but I can't mask Yoshi's and Mario's, which is the problem that I have with it in the first place. And, you know, the Mario would just get distorted and all whippy-woppy. That was again me collecting 100 coins. These ones I think were all legit runs because, again, my adherence to actual legit laws now. Yay, an actual good use of that word from before. Ha ha ha. That thing from before, yeah, now it's worse. Although for some reason it didn't affect the other place. Although maybe it might have affected where the compression in that level. Everybody who is out here. Like, in general, but he doesn't know that other people came out here. He doesn't know that Quakin is Akin's counterpart until they actually realize it. Haha, it's another one of these. They are. Ha 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 ha. Now for plot. Or a Sony Vegas noise effect. This is happening in combination of the events that are happening in Dowser's Flame Falls right now. So, right when Super Luigi collects a star, this happens. Yeah, I edit terribly. I just wanted to show that there was some kind of distortion in the sky with electricity happening in it. It works, I guess, but it's really awkward. Jinder in story is a character that relies on me very often, and it's because of his backstory and the way he acts. He's supposed to be a character that relies on me often. The fourth dimensional ones are a bit more mature that way. Meanwhile, we have no idea that this is happening outside. Until it gets worse later on, when I make like 15 of these in a giant circle. It's tone of voice in the thing. Now we're actually going to figure out what the hell is going on with the fourth road. Blue's worried that since he said repair, that means the place is broken. So that means since they're so high up, since we're so high up, he's worried that we're just going to die because we blasted ourselves to literally nothing. Some people think the texture pack is really ugly, so I decided to you know, side with those people too. I'm in the former team, really pretty. Yeah, remember them? Yeah, remember the lava is supposed to be clouds? That's not lava. I'm telling you now, that's not lava. Because I had no other texture pack. I actually made a version for myself after I got Photoshop for myself, so this is kind of irrelevant now, but it was supposed to be for now while this was going on. Also, I sort of made a weird edit over this way where this texture line has a weird blur effect on it, just to make it look like it can blend in, but it made it worse, so I just left it like that. We never saw the normal version of it, and the only other version I had was the one where Dementia took over, and if the other level was any indication, I didn't want any Dementia influences. So it was either Dowser, which would make more sense, or nothing at all. And I didn't want nothing at all, so I went with Dowser, and he did a thing, and that was it. Later on, if I were to do the fourth dimension, go to the fourth dimension again, I'd actually put the proper fourth wall textures that I made myself, because I asked Mario, and he's like, why don't you do it? And I'm like, but didn't you have the vision of the fourth dimension? I did it anyway, but he literally had no idea what the actual fourth road looked like aside from Dementio's takeover influence thing. He literally did not care. Way to world build and then not actually care afterwards. Mario had a weird thing. It was this really short second thing where Stum 4 went to grab some 1-ups for like a second, and then they kept all dismissing it as the first dimensional counterparts aren't going to see any point in that place. And I thought that is the most stupidest logic ever. How can you just ignore it when it's right there? So I ended up sending the other characters up here and turning it into some kind of game. He literally said it in a script line into the fourth dimension, so I thought he would be like, oh, what the hell? How are you noticing it now? Retconning! Because logic is that logic is stupid. And it's louder because now we're in the room. Which is a black room. It's sort of like a void. It's just a life game where I imagine them like, oh, they're waiting for a life and the first one to pick it up wins, and like, you know, it's like a score game. Whoever picks up the most lives wins. Ha 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 ha! I'm so funny. I apparently didn't get it. And I turn it back down now that we're outside. I like doing music tricks like that. So no, your volume isn't screwed, that's me actually having some funny tricks. Because I can't script. Was he slacking off on the mission the whole time? That's not actually what happened. Sniffer dog. I needed him to be distracted for a second while I put the last person in. Oh dear, Starman3's gonna kill us now. He's not on the level where I care about it right now, so I wasn't gonna make up some random thing here and now since he didn't even see him. So he thought, oh, that's, you guys are talking about it? Well, he left right there recently. Maybe he followed us here. All right, I'm not gonna care. Did he? I didn't see him. Yay, cartoon logic. In calls, he would be very silent. I needed to put that into his personality. Remember, he was Enzo's friend? I actually wanted this scene to have gameplay footage in it. It's the only time where I would want it. But it was like, the script line said, Alberto collects a few coins, and meanwhile he's doing that, he's like saying this in between. The only way I could do that is through gameplay footage. Starman3 made Forberto's color code a long time ago, and of course had to give me it to convert. But he never actually had the two characters meet, along with the Pascals. So, look where I'm clearing up your mess. When they didn't make you meet. Pidgey's a very old member in White's Yard as well, since he's been Enzo's friend for a while. And since Alberto's been around for a while, yeah. Yes, that's legit somehow. Welcome to my terrible Sony Vegas editing skills. I wanted to show that it had gone really bad enough to create a portal, and I didn't want to make the same portal effect that I'd used in part 2. Does it look fancy now? Terrible masking skills over here. Yeah, it's appearing down there too. He's saying come to the Star Road. He's taunting us through the portal because of the connection he's making between the dimensions. Exact dimensional logic, in case you didn't watch Mario's videos. And or you ignored that part. Look up soundeffects.org and find a electric sound effect or whatever. That's how you get the sound effect. So we were going to find out, just in audio, not an actual like crackling electricity visual effect. As if I have a very good visual effect for that. We said Pascal and Mario and both Mario and Pascal Mario went in. So we were basically saying both of their names whilst also saying one of their names in full. Get the joke? Ha! I'm not funny. And remember, she's researched the dimensions, just like I have. So she knows their names. Exactly behind him because of the way Star Road functions. Let's get these levels done. I wanted him to like be actually seeing Pascal Mario up there, but again, Star Road controls like absolute screw up whenever you try and record from a weird angle. So yeah. I'm trying to show the fact that he's literally over there. From their perspective, they're staring at him from that far away. Again, another fail jump. At least you can actually say, oh yeah, he jumped and probably landed on the thing before that scene. How long did that take to film? I don't know. Even though he was supposedly going that way, but apparently he came up to the surface instead. Worst place to collect it, at least it's like, it was easy to collect there. And it's like, the curtains come down. That wasn't intentional, but that's kind of funny. And now the sound effect's louder! They were supposed to have jumped, but again, I didn't want to change the shot. Fourth dimensional counterparts need to stay there to keep their dimensions safe. The first dimensional ones are the ones that are actually roaming the dimensions so that they can deal with their problem. the connection now is a lot clearer since he's actually providing a path between the worlds. I didn't put the effect on it this time since it's supposed to be clearer this time. I only put the effect on him. If you hadn't realized, this practically takes up a majority of the entire series. The majority of the series is watching the characters collect stars. Well, not really collect them to use them. It's mainly watching them go through the levels. The actual plot, the plot of stopping him, has been slowed down by a very large degree. Mainly because I went out of my way to provide fan service for both my friends and my fans, that it ended up failing in a couple ways. Rainbow Road functions on the same -20 trick as that of Super Mario Star Road, so I decided to place them in the same dimension, just as Back to the Fourth Dimension, whatever that place is in the fourth dimension in a similar way. The power of the 40 shield, which is the lock, he's using that power to provide a portal between the Star Road and the fourth dimension, so then he can taunt us so he can let us come through. But still, by going through the portal, since we'll be going against the cycle, he's only provided the gateway. We need to actually fight the cycle, which is what they're getting the others are getting the DVD for. And since the 40 shield doesn't have infinite power, if any of the dimensions end up going out of whack, the whole dimensional cycle will just completely fall apart. See? The portal is just a gateway. The cycle's pressure is still there, so they needed the DVD to get past that. Now that's like a similar portal effect to what Brandon had before, so I didn't want to use the same one each time. Also, you can basically tell what's going on here. The portal, like, the DVD allows them to go through from the fourth dimension to the Star Road. Then the portal, like, it's actually being provided at the Star Road, which is causing that electricity in the same place in the fourth dimension. They go through the portal, the electricity in the fourth dimension's gone. They are gone now here. YTR, I've had enough focus for now. They'll get it in part 16. This was what Brandon's role was meant to be for. But again, he didn't fit at the time when I was supposed to be setting this in, so I replaced him for Zaid instead. This was the main bit that Brandon was supposed to do, but it was instead replaced by Zaid. He self-proclaims himself that in several of the calls, but, like, as of the events happening in, like, the past few days prior to the beginning of the adventure, the iffiness that we've been hinting towards, most of this is, like, business of his, you know, normal I'm persuading you talk. He'll use his dimensional shrapnel powers, which he also apparently has, I didn't give him literally everything. And he'll use that to get everyone out of the 4th dimension. Except the ones that obviously didn't make it. And, you know, have their headcanon escapes. Yeah, I forgot another YTR Warner. Zambu was the last guy. He literally gets completely shafted in the series. So I decided to use that little room in the basement to have them have a little joke against each other. In anything, I guess. Also, that's really not supposed to show the pink screen, but I fail at masking. Ack! So you'll have a good day, peace, and when I next see you, we'll be commentating over Part 15.